From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop Dibiase, the primetime capper. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you're feeling the same. It is Thursday, the 24th of August, and the world is just spinning and spinning, and the days are just going and going, and man, it's just going. You know what I mean? So pretty much, we are here, and it is time for that show, the premier sports betting show. And let's go ahead and jump into our topic. And, it's college football coming up on Saturday and all that good stuff. And we got a lot of really good teams coming in for this season. We got a lot of teams that people don't even know are on the radar this year to be good teams. When we got teams this year that are seen as really good teams from, the last few years and everything like that, but they're going to fall off this year because sometimes it's just inevitable. You know what I mean? Hey, you might be bringing in a new coach. You might be losing a coach that pretty much had to prove himself this year. It's just a lot of things that play a big factor into this. And I just really feel like, sorry about that, got my horse racing going in the background as well too. Got to put it on mute. So we got the CFB Mid Major 5 preview coming up today, and up first is the AAC preview. And in the AAC, you guys already know this is a brand new conference. Let's just keep it real. They have six new buddies there, but they lost 4 teams out the group as well too. So it's just a lot of it. Well, for right now it's 3, but I think I'm trying to figure, because they have 14 teams now in the AAC. The conference had 12 before that, so they lose 3 teams in the process. Okay, and that was Houston, Cincinnati, and UCF. And you know what? Happy trails, pretty much. You know what I mean? Because those teams had kind of stood out in both basketball and football since pretty much the inception of the conference. So pretty much them moving on, it's because what they've done in bowl games and things of that nature moving forward. So that's why they're where they're at now. But we bring in Charlotte, North Texas, UAB, UTSA. Also, they've brought in Florida Atlantic as well too. And there's another team on the tip of my tongue as well. And I know that they'll come up in a second. But all in all, that's what we're seeing there. We got Charlotte, FAU, North Texas. Rice is the other team that we're thinking about. UAB is going to be in the house, and UTSA is going to be in the house. So it's going to be 5 of them, actually. I said 6, but it's only 5. It's only 5. Okay, so sorry for that right there as well, too. So pretty much, no, they got 6 coming. I'm sorry, they got 6. So let's go ahead and we break it on down real quick. This is how I see things shaking out in this conference right now. As you can see, we have Charlotte under 3.5 this year. Charlotte, it's going to be tough because Charlotte, this AAC is a different conference. Even though most of their teams that they played against in the old Conference USA have came with them, still, it doesn't matter. It's going to be tough because the Memphises of the world, the Navies of the world, SMUs of the world, they're going to make this really hard on Charlotte this year. ECU, Eastern Carolina, is a team that's on the rise. This team is a team that you have to take very seriously. Over 5.5 wins. They look like a bowl team. They truly do. They look like a bowl team. They look like a 7-win team, in my opinion, and possibly a team that can make a run at the AAC title as well, too. Then we have FAU, Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic is coming over, and the Lane Kiffin era pretty much supplied this momentum for them to move forward to a bigger conference, bigger than the Conference USA, bigger than the Sun Belt. You have to see this school has really moved forward fast. Like literally, they've been in 2 different conferences over the last 10 years, and now they're entering the AAC. What's next? The SEC. So FAU, Florida Atlantic, is going to be good, but they're going to have to go through the rites of passage because they don't have the same roster that they had when they were in Conference USA with Lane Kiffin as the coach. And, the competition is stepped up. Let's keep it real. And then you have Memphis over 8. And Memphis is a stalwart this year. Memphis is a team that possibly can cheat the whole conference as well, too. I know that they'll have that Tulane game, but still, they're a team that really does look to win this conference once again. They can be the most dominant team in this conference if they want to be. That's the whole thing about Memphis. Memphis probably has the fastest players in the conference. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. You got Navy, the most disciplined team in the conference. And you know that they're going to be the most, redundant, the most obvious team that you go against every week in and week out. But I still got them going under 6.5. We got some better teams here that know Navy is going to be a tough ask for them. And I think Navy is going to go through the motions a little bit because they just don't have the horses right now. You know what I mean? Because usually they'll have 4 or 5 players that are really, 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 really good. And then the rest of everybody are just very good team players. So that's what happens with them. And then you have Rice. Rice is always going to be, hey, you know what? You guys are a really, really smart school. You guys have really good students there. But when it comes to actual athletics, you guys just really go ahead and field teams to entertain a fan base, your sports fan base. That's it. You shouldn't have expectations with Rice. And I think that they'll probably be able to build better as they move along, taking over as the Houston team, because that Houston has left for the Big 12. So I like Rice, and I like Rice in the future. I don't like Rice right now. And Rice is probably going to have to go through the motions, but they're going to be a better team later. They're going to be greater later. You know what I mean? They're going to struggle early and be greater later. That's how I'm feeling. SMU, under 8.5. SMU is a team that is very, very tricky. You don't know which team you're going to get. SMU can jump out and win the first 8-9 games of the season, then lose the last 3. That's what type of team this is. I can't trust it. I think this year they're going to regress just a little bit, even though the conference is very winnable now. Just let's keep it real. The conference is they're one of the top dogs now. You know what I mean? We'll put this Tulane, SMU, Memphis, top dogs in this conference, straight up. Those 3 right there, and they are holdovers from the last from what was their original AAC as well too. Also, you still have ECU there, so those are my top 4 teams in the conference. You have USF, who's crazy. You would think that South Florida would have left before Central Florida, because keep it real, South Florida used to be in the Big East of all conferences, and that was a big shocker in itself when they were invited to the Big East. You know what I mean? And they moved on to the AAC. They became one of the better teams in the conference for a short period of time, but they do have the capability of bringing in a very good team once they get some establishment there. Once they get to a good, stable coach there, they can really run the table here within the next 5 years. This year, they're going to just be building towards that. I think they're going to be a team that's going to play spoiler a lot. And when you go to South Florida, it's going to be an issue when you play them. So I like them a lot. I think they're going to be a better covering team than they are going to be a team actually winning games this year. But I do like the over 4.5 here in that spot. And Temple's a team that's always going to be kind of like, they're just like Rice, the great education, great history of smart people going there. But you being a really good football team, that's probably not going to happen. So going under 5.5 doesn't say they're going to be a bad team this season. It just tells me that they're going to be a middling team this season. So under 5.5 with that. We got Tulane over 9.5. Pretty much, I'm saying that Tulane should be a 10-win or better team this year. I expect them to be in the championship game this year as well, possibly playing against Memphis. And that just bodes well for a hell of a game, in my opinion. I think that Tulane, if they are able to actually sheet the season where they go out and actually go undefeated, this team has to be considered for the New Year's Eve Six. Once again, because they were a part of that group last year with USC, but they may need to be considered for the Final Four this year because they beat USC in a bowl game last year. They come back around. They go undefeated this year. It looks like the same script Cincinnati had a few years back. So we'll have to see. And then you have UAB. UAB is a team that's intriguing. UAB is the wild card, in my opinion. I think that UAB is a team that if they can get Trent Dilfer to get everybody, up to speed on how he's going to run this program and say they can get some instant impacts right away, I really can see a UAB maybe playing their way into the conference championship game. You never know. Then you got UTSA. They just turned the corner, okay? And they were a great team in Conference USA. I think they might be coming to the AAC a bit too soon, in my opinion. But they're ready from what they're saying, because it's crazy to me that San Antonio makes the leap, but El Paso stays back. But I totally understand because San Antonio is a growing city. El Paso is just the right before you get to Mexico. I totally understand that part. But UTEP has been a well more established Division I team for a very long time. And we all know that, when it comes to college basketball, they do own a national championship. So we'll have to see. But there's the under for UTSA this year, who are seen as one of the better teams in the conference this year. As you can see, that's a plus 135. Because they're seen as a team that can possibly win this conference. And I'm not taking that away from them, but this is not going to be like Conference USA. It truly isn't. So let's go ahead and let's look at who I have picked to be our champions of the AAC. And here it is. Memphis will be the team that I have winning the conference. Memphis is a plus 550, 5-1 on the 5-1, and really a 9-2. If we're at the racetrack, it's a 9-2 because 550 equals 11, and that is a 9-2 in betting terms. And then the favorite for the conference is Tulane with plus 165. You're getting value. You're getting good value in the AAC. But this is where I'm going with this right here. I'm taking Memphis as my conference champion in the AAC this year. So let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. We will come back and revisit all this stuff at the end of the year. I want to do an end of the year. Hey, did we do it? Did we not do it? That good stuff. So with that, we'll go ahead and we move forward to our next topic in hand, and that's going to be this conference right here, and that's going to be the Conference USA. And Conference USA has kind of been stripped bare. You know what I mean? A little bare there, sir. But the thing is, though, they do have 4 teams on the way, or 4 or 5, 6 teams on the way. They're not coming till next year, though. That's the problem, because they had to fill in literally they had to fill the whole conference up. They lost 6 teams, okay? And then they lost Southern Mississippi a few years ago as well, too. So there's just it's Conference USA. This is probably the lowest you've seen the Conference USA in forever, like ever, because it's always been a big conference. Now they have less than 10 teams in the conference, but that's just for this year. Kennesaw State's on the way. I think that Stetson's coming over as well too. I have to recheck who's going to Conference USA. But they got a good influx coming in next year of mid-majors in that area. So pretty much what do we have here? We have Conference USA. Let's go ahead and see exactly how I have this conference setting up. We have FIU, who's probably in better condition, and I was going to say this as well too a moment ago when we talked about Florida Atlantic. I know it feels good for these two to be separated because they were following each other around everywhere, and pretty much now the FAU FIU rivalry will still be in place, but it doesn't have to do anything with, determining who can win the division and things like that in the conference and stuff. But FIU, I got them going under 3.5. FIU is a team that is a yearly struggle. They had a few good moments when Butch Davis was the coach, but you know what? That time has passed, and things move on from there. He put some good balance together. He gave some guys some opportunities that were from the JUCO level that were able to dominate, get themselves some NFL looks and things like that. But other than that, FIU was nothing more but a school that just is there. They're just middling, and under 3.5. We won't even lose any sleep if they go over this. It doesn't matter. Jacksonville State has entered the big time. They have went from an FCS school now to being a FBS school. And so pretty much the transition does take a little bit of time. So I do like Jacksonville State with the under 4.5. I think that is going to be a tough task for this team moving forward because they have to get acclimated to this style of play. It's going to be a lot different from where they come from. But Jacksonville State, from what I know, they were a pretty successful team in FCS. They might not win national championships every year, but they were a playoff team a lot of times. And then you got Liberty. Liberty has been an independent for like the last almost decade since they've entered the FBS portion of college football, and they've thrived. They've thrived very well because they got Hugh Freeze as the head coach. They've even been able to get a quarterback drafted, you know what I mean, third round, Malik Willis. And Malik Willis was seen as the best quarterback in that draft that year. So there's a lot of good things that Liberty's doing. They're doing a good job recruiting as well, too. I think them going over 8.5 is probably the best bet in this conference moving forward. All right, so we have Louisiana Tech, and I feel like Louisiana Tech got left. Let's keep it real because San Antonio, Rice, they could have stayed in Conference USA. Charlotte could have stayed in Conference USA. But when you look at the usual suspects of Conference USA, you would have thought Louisiana Tech was leaving too. But they said, nah. We're going to stay here. We're going to chill here because we're trying to win some conference championships. We trying to move on. They're trying to get back to how they used to be in the old Sun Belt. You know what I mean? Because they used to be a Sun Belt team. And pretty much Louisiana Tech, I got them going over 6. They should challenge Liberty for the conference championship, in my opinion. But we'll see how it goes. Middle Tennessee State is a team, and you say, but did they get left Tupac? No, they're right where they belong. Middle Tennessee State. I think that this team is very tricky. You don't know exactly what to expect with them, but I just feel like they'll land right on 6 this year. You know what I mean? I feel like they're going to have a bad non-conference, and then they'll have a good Conference USA, but then they'll run into the top-heavy teams in the Conference USA and won't be much of a threat to them. But we'll see. This is another team that can play spoiler, so we'll see how it goes. Then we got New Mexico State, the over 6 with the plus 100. New Mexico State, another team that has entered the Conference USA. So that would give us now 1, 2, 3 brand new teams. And then you got Sam Houston, who was a Division II powerhouse for a long time, then an FCS powerhouse for a long time. And now they've walked into the FBS because Sam Houston is increasing their resources at their school. Even their basketball team has become more of a high ranking situation where they're not top 25, but they have a little bit more credibility because they've moved into a pretty good conference. You know what I mean? That being what was the West athletic conference for the NCAA basketball. Now they move into Conference USA as well too. So this is going to make them look a lot better at the committee table. But this also boosts up recruiting. So Sam Houston will probably go over 3.5 because they're Texas boys, and Texas boys ain't trying to get embarrassed. I don't care. So Sam Houston over 3.5. I like it -130. UTEP. See, this surprises me. UTEP is a team I would have thought went on to the AAC. UTEP has been an established type team for a very long time. And I thought that they had a lot more going on than San Antonio because they've been more established than San Antonio. But El Paso decides to stay back and play in the Conference USA, which might be a great decision for this team as well, too, because they have a good opportunity to win their conference title as well, too. I know you look at over 5.5 games and say, Pop, how can that happen? UTEP was a team that was on the up and up last year, and things do change up a little bit. The coaches, it has a plan there, and we'll see how it goes. I think that they're going to be a really good conference team, and they might be able to get themselves a nice little, some nice little wins in non-conference. Probably not against somebody who's, Power 5, but against one of those Midland smaller teams, they'll probably do pretty well. So we move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky is the favorite to win this conference once again. I think that that's all right. That's the right way to go, because the one team that's been the consistent, it's been Western Kentucky in this conference. So they're another team that's grown so much over the years as well too. They went from being another Division II team, FCS school, to coming on in, playing in the Sun Belt, and going at it with Southern Mississippi. Then them and Southern Mississippi both went to Conference USA. Now, you see that they've left Conference USA now, Southern Mississippi. So Western Kentucky's in here kind of all by themselves, but they should be able to make some new rivals. I think their rivalries will be with teams like UTEP, teams like Sam Houston, and Liberty as well too. So it's going to be a lot of fun in the Conference USA. So let's go ahead and we're going to check out who I have winning this conference. And I think I kind of told on myself early, and that's going to be Liberty. And Liberty is not the favorite to win this conference. I'm surprised. They should be, but they're not. I like Liberty with the +250. The favorite to win the conference is Western Kentucky, like I told you, +125. So that's going to be their deal right there. And I think this should work out pretty good, but that's going to be that right there. And that's going to be the Conference USA preview. So let's move forward and jump into our next conference. And that's going to be the Mac Daddy, make it jump. I'm telling you, man, always good memories with that right there. Chris Kelly. And what was the other one's name? Chris Kelly? Something. But Mac preview. The Mac is the Tuesday, Wednesday conference. And Thursday as well, too, sometimes. But we all have came accustomed to knowing that conference play in the MAC will be during the week, okay? And we all love that. We all love watching MAC football during the week. And it's a lot of fun, lots of high-scoring games, some low-scoring games, some games that you don't see coming. And it's just a crazy conference, man. That's all I can say. It's just crazy. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into the group for this conference. And up first, let's talk about that's the next conference. Up first, and this conference is still broke up by divisions, as you can see. We have the East Division. I have Akron going over 4 games. Akron's been getting better and better by the year. I know that they probably still don't have the talent to keep up with the rest of the MAC, but they got some good coaching going on over there, and they do hold guys accountable, and that's what makes this team, have somewhat of an opportunity to really be able to move, you know what I mean, and grind. So there's a lot of really good things going on with this team, man. I think that we can all agree that Akron is on the up and up, and over 4 games is not a tough task at all. Because I think that they're due for I think they can win at least 4 or 5 conference games this year. To keep it real with you, we have Bowling Green. We know that this is one thing about Bowling Green. I got Bowling Green going over 4.5 games this year. I know that they are seen as a pathetic situation, but Bowling Green is a team that is always figuring out ways to beat the best team in the conference for some odd reason. And I feel like this year they can possibly put some momentum together and actually have themselves possibly a bowl season this year, possibly when it going 6-6, maybe going 7-5. But I like Bowling Green this year to be much better than what they've been over the last couple years, because they always play really hard. It's just that they come up short. And I think this year they'll figure out how to turn those close losses into close wins. All right, we got Buffalo with the under 6.5 here. Okay, this is kind of weird because Buffalo was a team that won their bowl game last year. Buffalo has been the consistent constant in the MAC as well too. But I think that they're regressing. I think that they lost a lot of really good players from last year's team that were very vital to that bowl win that they had at the end of the year. So I do like Buffalo with the under 6.5 minus 150 in this spot. Then Kent State not getting any respect. Kent State been one of the better teams in the conference the last 3 years, but that team has left. That group has left. I think the coach even left too. So they're starting all the way over again. But Kent State still will be a tough game when you have to go to Canton to play them. So I do like Kent State with the over 2.5 because, come on, dude, I think a team can win 3 games. All right, because they're going to give them a gimme. And I know that they're going to figure out a way to win a game they're not supposed to win. So winning 3 games shouldn't be that hard. That's why it's minus 140. We have Miami of Ohio, the under 7.5. And Miami of Ohio should be seen as one of the favorites to win the East Division to represent in the title game. If you're looking at this thing the correct way, because Miami of Ohio is another team that's on the up and up. Now, Ohio, I feel like Ohio is the absolute landlord of the East Division. They were able to put it all together at the right time last year and put themselves as the champions of the conference. And it was absolutely immaculate. They were incredible. And they did it without their starting quarterback as well, too. And they showed that they had 2 quarterbacks, and they still got these guys at Ohio. And this is what makes Ohio a more than dangerous team this year, because they could absolutely go undefeated in conference play. They're that good coming in. Their quarterback is that good coming into this season. The guy was absolutely amazing. And I think that if he can stay healthy for most of the year, they should be fine. Last year, he got hurt at the end of the year, and it was kind of a sad situation, but we knew that he could come back. He's going to come back, and he's going to be excellent when he comes back. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. Now, in the West Division, you got Ball State. Ball State has been sitting at the driver's seat for some time now. They've been sitting here trying to make their move, but they just have to figure out when. And this could be the year. And I truly do feel that they have a great opportunity to win the West this year, and they're going to be tough to beat. It's just that simple, especially when you got to go to Muncie and play them. Now, you have Central Michigan. I have them going under 5.5, but they will get some good upsets this year in conference play. Let's just keep it real. They'll be a team that they're going to mess you up on a Wednesday night when they're a plus 12.5, and you thought that they were going to get absolutely shellacked, but they're at home and they got a little bit of momentum going, and then they win. That's how it always goes with them. Eastern Michigan is a team that has been so much better than they were, say, 6, 7, 8 years ago. This team used to be a walking fade, literally. Or if you needed one, if you needed a team to get blown out and you really need the guaranteed blowout, go ahead and pick Eastern Michigan. Go ahead and pick against Eastern Michigan. That's kind of like how it used to always work. Now Eastern Michigan is one of the more clutch teams in the MAC conference, and their games are kind of must-see TV too. And they played and it's crazy how well they played the Big Ten over the last few years as well. So Eastern Michigan is a team that you have to look out for. But this year I have them landing right at 7 wins. 7-5 looks like their season right now, in my opinion. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. We move forward from there. All right. We have ourselves the NIU over 5.5. That's Northern Illinois. I think that this one can wind up being a very, very good spot for us if you play it the right way. And this is another team that can sneak up and win the division. Just think about it, because the West seems really open right now. Even though you got Toledo here, Toledo is awesome. Toledo is gonna be a bowl team this year. They're gonna be really good, but it's gonna be tough. You know what I mean? They're still gonna make it tough on them. And let's keep it real. Toledo has lost to the worst team in the conference the last 4 years, and 2 of those years was Bowling Green. So you have to understand this team is good, but they play down to their competition a lot in this conference. So you know what you're dealing with. So that's why they have them under 9.5 with the minus 165. I think they are a 9-3 team, to keep it real with you, 8-4 team. They're gonna play in a bowl game, but will they be consistent enough at the end of the season to get themselves the actual conference championship? That's the thing. And Western Michigan is in a rebuild situation somewhat, that they're building back the program to what PJ Fleck had them in when he was there. PJ Fleck had that program playing on New Year's Eve, all that good stuff. Corey Davis, who just retired, he was a top 7 pick because of that school. You know, there's just a lot of things that worked out very well for that Western Michigan group that was able to put together a lot of some really good seasons. You know what I mean? So pretty much when you get down to the gist of everything, you know, pretty much this is how we're looking at the winner of the conference, and that's going to be Ohio again this year. I got Ohio going back to back this year. They went to Ford Field last year and won the conference. This year, I got them going back to Ford Field and winning the conference again. I love them with the plus 330 going into this season. I think they present a lot of good value moving forward. Ohio is a team to watch, and I think that if you really go ahead and look at their schedule and say to yourself that, you know, the tough team on their schedule will have to be ready to possibly get upset. You know what I mean? And I'm looking at their schedule now, and I see San Diego State. They got a game there. That's a winnable game for them, believe it or not. And then the next game that I see coming up for them that could be something that they you know, kind of throw a monkey wrench into, that would be the Iowa State game. But surprise, surprise, they're not playing a Big Ten team this year. They usually play a Big Ten team, but they're not playing one this year for some odd reason. But they're playing Iowa State. So, hey, it is what it is. But all in all, let's go ahead and take a quick commercial break. And when I get back, we're going to go ahead and jump into the rest of the conference previews. And you guys just stay tuned. This is the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop Dibiase, the Primetime Capper.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another, and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest, with the one and only Pop Dibiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to this week's science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
We are back with the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Angles, with the one and only Pop Dibiase, the Primetime Capper. Let's go ahead and jump into the Mountain West. And in the Mountain West, we have a very wide open conference. Let's keep it real. We got the West side and we got the Mountain side. And on the West side, we got Fresno, who's looking to return to the championship game. And you know what? Fresno has been the consistent, in my opinion. They'll say San Diego State, but it seems like Fresno always has their number. And it seems like Fresno's the one team that is everybody's kryptonite in the Mountain West. Like, literally, like when it comes down to a big game and you got to play Fresno, road or home, Fresno always brings the hat. They always bring the drama. And you know what? They're a very trusted team to a lot of us bettors as well, too. But I truly do feel that Fresno State's going to have one of their better seasons this year because they just been able to supply so many good players to the NFL over the last 5 years or so. They just got Jake Hayner there, who I felt was the best quarterback in this year's draft. So, you know, there's a lot of good things going on in Fresno right now. And that's good because Fresno is a very, very dangerous place. And it's good to be able to smile at some things in a place like Fresno. So I like the over 8.5 here with Fresno. Plus 140 is the number. I like them as a 9-3 team this year. I think they're going to be really good, man. That's how I'm seeing it. Hawaii. I think a lot of people probably will sentimental bet Hawaii this year, but I think Hawaii is going to be a bad team. I'm going to just keep it real with you. I haven't heard anything that said that Hawaii was going to be a team that's going to challenge for anything. Like if you have 3.5 wins as your win total, and I feel like you're much better than that, then I probably would go over. But I know Hawaii is going to be a lot of teams sparring partners. So I do think the under 3.5 is the better play here. Also you have the Nevada Wolfpack. They're looking to put themselves back into the mix somewhat with this conference and not fall too far off, you know, for recruiting purposes and everything like that. They do not want UNLV to get ahead of them. UNLV is already playing in a better stadium. They're already in a better city. And, you know, they really do have to make sure that they don't they don't lose the internal battle to their South rivals. You know what I mean? I think that they'll be good this year. I think Nevada's going to be a team that wins 5 or more games. That's why I got them at the over 4 with the plus 125. Also, we have the San Diego State under 7 minus 115. And this is going to be a very, very fun play for us. I feel like San Diego State is always figuring out ways to mess the money up. So I think that they're going to be a 500 team this year. I'm not going to say they're below 500, but they look like a 6-6 or better team. 7-5, no better than that this year, I feel. You know, I think San Diego State is going to have to really put themselves back in the mix as, you know, the team in the Mountain West, because the conference is wide open, and this division is there's teams ahead of them this year. I'm sorry, there just is. And you have San Jose State. San Jose State has been on the cusp of being, you know, a consistent winner. They did win the conference a few years back, which was beautiful, and they also won their bowl game. And you have to understand, it's beautiful because San Jose State is most times they're a really bad team. Like they'll be lucky to win 3 games. You know what I mean? Now they have a little bit of expectations, and over 5 is very doable for this team because they play so well at home. That's one thing about San Jose State. And they've been able to have one of the more stingier defenses as well, too, in conference play. Now, UNLV said that they're ready to bust out. They're ready to stop messing around and become a team that's relevant. And I think that, you can kind of believe them. We'll see the first 2 months, but we'll see. You know what I mean? But I think that they can be a 6-win team this year because I feel like they're going to play better at Allegiant. Like, you have to play better at the Raiders Stadium before they start making you play in the parking lot, dog. Seriously. Because you're not really even bringing fans into those games. And the whole point of going to Allegiant was to build up the school to possibly be in a bigger conference because they play in that type of venue. Now we'll see how it goes, but I do like the over 5.5. I feel like now we're transitioning into the third year into the stadium, so they should be like used to it, and they should say to themselves, "This is our house, and we're not losing in here." It's that simple. You know what I mean? All right, the Mountain Division. Now, Air Force, who's been a very consistent team in the conference over the last few years, probably have the best system in the conference as well, too, because the way that they run the ball is so potent, and the way that they hold on to the ball, just if it was Madden, you would probably want to jump through the TV and choke Air Force's offensive coordinator, because that's what we call grandpa playing right there, where you going to slow that game, where you go ahead and you slow the game down somewhat, but you don't slow the game down. You speed the game up, but you not running to the line. You are using as much clock as you can. All right, Boise State has been, seen as the elite team of this conference the last 20 years. Everybody's still living off the Statue of Liberty play from Ian Johnson. You know what I mean? And Boise is stay consistent, but I think this year they're gonna start showing the wears and tears that come with being a consistent winner. I think that they're gonna go under 8.5 this year. Colorado State is a very tricky situation. They got a lot of good California players there right now, but it all depends on how the coach wants to go ahead and do this thing. I think that they're good enough to go over 4.5 wins this year, and the spread is pretty much saying that should be a strong bet for that to happen. And New Mexico, who's been atrocious the last few years, sanctionings and things like that, not being able to recruit the same player, because they used to be able to recruit that guy that was on his last chance and he needs New Mexico more than New Mexico needs him and all that good stuff. Well, those guys are gone. So now New Mexico is just kind of going with the motions a little bit. But the over 3.5 to me shows that this team is building for the up and up. And I think that's where we're at right now with New Mexico. They won't be down for too much longer. Utah State over 5 plus 120. Utah State is the quiet wild card in this conference. Everybody knows when you go to Orem, it's going to be a tough game. Let's just keep it real. And everybody knows when Utah State is rolling, they're hard to beat. And this team, if they can get on a roll, if their defense can step it up, they have nothing but opportunity to go ahead and be that team this year, in my opinion. So the over 5 plus 120 is very valuable, in my opinion, because I think we absolutely crushed that bet right there. So we end with Wyoming, and I think Wyoming is in for a really bad season. If I could have said they're going to be under 4.5 games, I would put that there. I just don't think Wyoming's going to be that good this year. I don't think even playing in Laramie is going to be helpful for them this season, to be honest with you. So that's that, and that's going to be our group for today in the Mountain West. And let's go ahead and look at who I got picked as the champion. I think it won't surprise anybody either because I talked about him so highly. But we got Fresno as our champions at 4-1. They are presenting a lot of good value, but this is just a lot of good value in the conference period. So pretty much they're telling me that there's 5 teams right now that could take this conference, because if you're under 10-1, you have to me a strong chance to win the conference. Okay. And I think that Fresno is the perfect number. And I think Fresno's in the perfect scenario this year, too, to go ahead and win their division and win the title as well, too. All right. So with that, we move on to our final group. And it's going to be this. It's going to be the Sun Belt. We got the East Division. Appalachian State has been a team that's been a constant. It's been a constant force, but I think this year is a little bit of a regression year for them because now you've been in on the FBS side for more than 10 years now, and I think the whole honeymoon is over. And last year kind of showed that because they were getting strapped in games that they used to not get strapped in. And that just means that their style of play still works, but the type of talent that is coming to the school isn't the talent that they were bringing in after Armani had his moment against Michigan. You know what I mean? Everybody, that's the one thing that Appalachian State has been living off of for a while now is that game against Michigan. And that game was a long time ago now. You have under 7 for them. Coastal Carolina, a team that was really good during the pandemic, they're starting to regress again too. I got them going under 7.5. Georgia Southern is a team that I know recruited very well. And I think that they'll get back to their winning ways this year. And I have this team winning 7 games this year. I have them with a winning record. Georgia State, same thing. I feel like they'll be a team that can be 500 or just a little bit above 500. I like the plus 145 on these guys. But the team that stands out in this conference to me is the James Madison University squad. And the sad part for James Madison is this: James Madison can't even play for a division title. They can't even play for a conference title. Like if they won their division, they can't play for in the conference championship. You know that, right? Because they're an FBS school, and they can't do that until I think 2 years into it, 3 years into being a part of that conference. So you don't get to be in a bowl game right away. And James Madison's the best team in the conference, straight up. You know what I mean? And it happens. It's no worries, but it kind of sucks too at the same time. Yeah, Marshall under 7.5. Marshall. And Marshall is the other team that snuck away from the Conference USA, but they left last year. So that's why we're down to 9 in that conference, because they actually had 7 leave. You know what I mean? And pretty much they had those 7 leave, and then they had a bunch of teams come in and jump in. But yeah, pretty much Marshall is enjoying their time. And Old Dominion was a Conference USA team as well too. So it's kind of funny seeing that a lot of these teams have moved on to the that 3 of the teams moved on to the Sun Belt. And you would have thought they were taking a step back, but really they're not. But I got ODU going over 3.5 games. They still have their they still have a good mantra. You know what I mean? I know ODU is going to be a team that's going to be a punching bag in situations, but they're going to be a team that's going to get you a big win when they're not supposed to. So, the over 3.5 looks like it's very doable for anybody who wants to take that bet. Then you got Arkansas State, a team that struggled, but they should be better. They always got some speed on that team. I think this year it'll show up, and I do like them with the over 4.5 here. Yeah, they could be a 5-win team. I just think they're better than 4 wins this year, Lafayette is going to be good. Louisiana, now I don't know if they call them Louisiana Lafayette no more. I always see Louisiana, but I know them as Louisiana Lafayette. And I think that Louisiana Lafayette is going to have themselves a really, really good season. And I like the over 7.5, and they will challenge for the West title as well too, because this is to me, this is the tougher side. Let's keep it real. You know what I mean? You got the upset city situations on the West side, even though you might not have teams be as dominant as I feel like the East will be, but you have teams that will, when it comes to their home game, they're going to make you work for that win. Monroe, bad situation going on over there. I think Monroe is a 2-win team. So 3.5 minus 145, it does look very doable. South Alabama. South Alabama might be on the brink of being the best team in this conference. they showed some really good moments last year, and they showed what they're capable of possibly being. And I think that's something that we all need to really go ahead and commend when it comes down to it. But I think that the under 8.5 is the right play. But I feel like they're an 8-4 team. Let's keep it real. I think that they're good enough. They're a winning team this year. They're going to have a winning record. They're just not going to go over 8.5. You know what I mean? Southern Mississippi, this is a team that was really good a few years ago when they were in the Conference USA. They came back to the Sun Belt. They did a few good things here in the Sun Belt as well, but they're just going through the motions. And I truly do feel that when it comes down to it, Southern Mississippi should be able to win 6 games or better this year. Or if they land on 5, we'll just take the push. It doesn't matter to me, but I think that Southern Mississippi is going to be a far better team than they've been. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it checks out. We move from there. We got Texas State. Texas State's been really bad the last decade or so. I think that they're going to run into some troubles, and they're going to be a whooping boy for the rest of the conference. So that's why I got them going under 4. I think they're only better. They're only good enough for 4 wins this year, if that. So it is what it is. And then we got Troy. I got them going over 8. And Troy, I'm very confident in what Troy can do this year. And I'm so confident in what Troy can do this year. I got Troy winning the conference championship. And what number do we get Troy at for the conference championship? We get them at plus 330, but the favorite is Southern Alabama. But once again, you get a lot of value in this conference for the winner of the conference. So wherever you choose could be the right one, baby. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it shakes out. And that's going to be that for the preview for college football. And that's going to be our mid-major group. Tomorrow we'll be doing the Power 5. So make sure that you're tuned in. You're tuned all the way in, and we can go ahead and get that thing going. You know what I mean? So pretty much with that, I'm going to go ahead and take another commercial break. And when I get back, we're going to jump into the baseball for tonight. We're going to talk some Shotani. We're going to talk some Dodgers. And we're going to talk about the games that, have the best value to them tonight as well, too. So you guys make sure you stick around. And, talking tickets as well, too. So you guys stick around. I'll be right back. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles with the